Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Week 14 on DraftKings is almost here. It's Friday morning, 9 a.m. on the West Coast. There's a lot of injury information that we're going to have to stay on our toes and formulate our if-then statements and figure things out moving forward, exactly how we want to do things this week. And there's a lot up in the air, so I don't have every single answer for you. But what I do every single Friday is I go live on twitch.tv/Al_smizzle. And I talk to the chat and they ask me any questions that they want, whether it's price points, cash games. We try and do polls, mods. If the polls are working, get those all set to go. We'll build you kind of the skeleton, or chat will build you the skeleton of what a cash game lineup should probably look like this weekend. I will answer most of the tournament questions. We can go over game theory. We can go over game selection. We can go over different price points or players or this or that. But like mostly this week, you're going to want to have your if-then statement set up. As you can see, Austin Eckler is the cover boy this week, and it was going to be Mike Williams with Keenan Allen and COVID protocols, and everything's up in the air still with the Chargers. So there's no definitive answers I can give you for which Charger should be the best value Charger right now. So you have to set up your if-then statements, and we're going to help you through those. And the same thing happens right now with San Francisco's backfield. The same thing's happening now in other teams. So we're going to have to be nimble this week. Such is the way that it goes late in the football season, especially late in a COVID season as winter and flu season gets here. So thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video. Got that 10% rule. However many views this video has, if it has 10,000, we need over 1,000 likes. If it has 15,000 views, we need over 1,500 likes. That's up to you. You have to do that. We are also approaching 50,000 subs on YouTube. When we get there, we are going to have a party. We're going to do a whole bunch of giveaways. They're going to be awesome. All I ask is that you subscribe to this video, especially if you're new. About 42% of the people that watch this video are not subscribed. So if you just click that subscribe button, ring the notifications bell, leave me a reply down below. Let me know how you're feeling this week about the week 14 slate. And let's go.
He's a legend.
Week 14, the Smiz Gang Listener League got bigger, 3,250 again. We're testing that number out. You guys have been amazing the last couple of weeks. We're right at about the same number of entrants. Let's refresh this and get an accurate number of where we're at. Yep, 1,052. That's about where we've been the last couple of weeks. Last week, we sold out an hour before lock. $10 center, 3 max, no rake. So 100% of the money that comes in goes back out. Smizzle.tv/league is what will take you there. If you bookmark that, I change the redirect every Monday as soon as I get it. There's a link in the pinned comment down below. There is also a link in the description. If you click show more, it is the easiest thing to remember. Put in your bookmarks, smizzle.tv/league. That's smizzle.tv/league, and it will take you right to our listener league every single week. Make sure that you get in there. Best tournament that there is on DraftKings. Let me bring in the chat here. Brand new scene. You like this? You probably hate it. Thanks. I hate it. I like it. We're updating things around here. We're trying to keep things as fresh and popping as we can, as you know, the days and weeks and years roll on. I think this is going to be a really interesting week. I think it's going to be a tough week considering, how do you put this? Considering like that the value is not easy to build into stacks. So if you've watched the top stacks video, a lot of those stacks aren't going to look great in your optimizer because the value's all over the place, right? And it makes it more difficult to stack kind of optimally to make it look pretty. But that works in our favor, in my opinion, in terms of tournaments. So if you're telling me that pieces aren't going to be multiplying great, right? Like players are looking at like, I don't know, 2.2 to 2.6 in optimizers right now in terms of points per dollar. That's going to put us in a position where we can get different very easily and have lower percentages on our double stacks. And that doesn't mean that double stacks can't go off. Are you telling me that Josh Allen or Tom Brady can't be responsible for 4 touchdowns and 300 plus yards? Telling me that Lamar Jackson can't have a 25 plus point day with multiple touchdowns through the air? Justin Herbert, especially considering that probably at least one of his guys is going to be out of there between Allen or Williams, creating a value vacuum with other guys. You know, Helmus, thank you very much for the 52 months. WWSD, what would Sharon do? Yeah, Sharp Sharon in the chat is one of our cash game specialists in the Discord. If you're not in Discord, make sure that you get in there. Is the Carnival stackable? Are they the Carnival anymore, or are the Vikings the Carnival now? I feel like the Vikings are the Carnival now, and they're not on the slate. They are such a horrible defense and such a great unguardable offense that like every one of their games is like 60 total points. It feels like it isn't always. Don't fact check me, but like you're talking about the Dallas game, the old Carnival. I think it is a stackable game, especially considering that they've lost a piece. So like Tony Pollard, game time decision this weekend was already priced up because for the reverse, right? So they priced up Tony Pollard because Ezekiel Elliott has been playing with an injury. And in the case that Ezekiel Elliott sat out this week, they did not want to have Tony Pollard sitting at a price tag of like 4,500 to 5,500 because he would be like 50% played in tournaments. So they priced him way up to a point where if Ezekiel Elliott was out, he would be fairly priced, which is the exact right thing to do if you're DraftKings, right? You don't want to create these value vacuums like we saw last week with Antonio Gibson, who is still in the value vacuum, right? At 6,000. Like, it's way too cheap considering 26 touches, 19 touches, 36 touches, 28 touches the week before, massive inclusion in the pass game. He ripped up Dallas last year to the tune of 4 touchdowns across their 2 games. So I think that this game is certainly stackable, and Ezekiel Elliott, in the case that Tony Pollard misses, could theoretically play 75 to 80+% of the snaps, even with the injury that he's had. Like, there's all this stuff going around, like, oh, well, he's not good, and he is good. Oh, he doesn't look like he looked at the beginning of the season when he was totally healthy and svelte. Well, I mean, it's week 14, and maybe he didn't look explosive, but as long as there's nothing structural wrong with that knee, as long as it's what we always look for is pain management. Well, it's a pain management issue. As soon as you hear from the coach in the press conferences that it's a pain management issue, that translates from coach speak to English as we have some wonderful drugs at the NFL level and he's not going to feel a thing on Sunday during the game for that 3-4 hour stretch, as has been backed up by a friend of the program, Tank Williams, who used to play for the Titans. I tweeted that out and Hank was like, yup, you ain't lying. He's like, I didn't feel a thing when I played injured. It's like, it's true. That's just what they do. But looking at all of the targetable players, CeeDee Lamb, Terry McLaurin is awesome and like has not going to ever carry a lot of the market share of percentage because he has this really wide gap between his 4 to 9 point floor and 24 to 35 point ceiling. He's a fantastic tournament play every week. It's a cliff diving play, right? Like, you're either going to be a grand champion or you're going to be a stain on a rock. That lineup that you play Terry McLaurin in, right? It's the way that it goes. Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper's under 5,900 because of 3 straight games of less than 5 targets. But again, sandwiched around him missing a game with COVID and was not going to be really utilized very heavily in week 13. Do you think he's going to keep getting like 4 or less targets? I don't. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons why this game is stacked with Dalton Schultz. Thomas is out. We have Ricky Seals-Jones is questionable. He practiced on Thursday. We'll wait for the Friday practice report to see how that goes. But a fantastic game and looking like one that's going to be somewhat popular in terms of stacks. Mods, do you want to throw up the first poll for quarterbacks, for cash game quarterbacks? If they're up there, that would be great. And we'll move with that as soon as we get there. So, yeah, it's just Taysom Hill, but like I still have to have y'all vote on it. It's 100% Taysom. You're playing Taysom Hill if you're playing cash. I'm sure somebody's going to play somebody else. But like, he is going to be the odds-on cash game favorite guy. because nobody else is like, they priced up all of the gooder quarterbacks have been priced up. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, 7,800, Tom Brady, you know, at 7,600. And this red one, I think, is going to scare some people. Right? This is going to scare a lot of people. This first here. Lamar Jackson at 7,400, Herbert 7,100, Dak 67. I think some people are going to pivot off of Taysom Hill and go to Cam Newton because of the matchup with them. But like, I really do believe that Taysom Hill is far and away the number one points per dollar quarterback on the slate. Beowulf ain't walking through that door this weekend. A lot of them are more gooder, but like they're not when it comes to points per dollar. I think all of these plays up here are fantastic for double stacking in tournaments. Well, maybe not him, but like watch Tannehill have 35 points this weekend because I just said that. But like I feel like every one of these players is going to be stackable for tournaments. I think that the more interesting question, and I can fill this out without polls. Like the polls have become like a thing, and now like I don't think the mods can get the polls working because Twitch doesn't always work with us. But like your cash games are there and there. Right? Does anybody have an issue with that? I can just start this with that and go there. There. Finally, they got the cash game quarterback poll up. So the cash game quarterback poll is looking like Taysom Hill, Herbert, Cam, Josh Allen, and Heineke. So what we do for these polls is we take the 5 highest projected percentage players at each position, because the higher percentage players projected in tournaments are typically the 5 most likely cash game plays. A lot of people take their cash game play and put it in tournaments. A lot of people don't understand game theory. Sometimes there is a possibility that this play is just too good and you have to take that play, especially in single entry, but there's always different routes to go, right? There's no one way to win this game. There's tons of different ways that you can go. So like Taysom there have been so far, we have 150 people in chat. Not everybody votes because some people are on mobile and it's a little bit tougher when you're on mobile. We have 8 votes for 4 players and over 33 for the other guy. It's just going to be Taysom Hill. The other players can't even catch up. They're mathematically eliminated at this point. There's no way. There's absolutely no way that that's going to happen. So like Taysom Hill is just going to be our cash game quarterback, and rightfully so. If you go look at my Best Buys article over on ESPN Plus, smizzle.tv/Best Buys. Again, bookmark that. It'll take you there. Smizzle.tv/links has all of my links with all the stuff that I do everywhere. It's like a link tree. It'll take you to all of my different stuff. Very easy to get to. Smizzle.tv/links. It has Listener League. It has Best Buys. It has the Twitch channel. It has TikTok, Instagram, everything. One place where you can click all the things. So it's there every week if you don't feel like bookmarking Best Buys, but I'll give you a little sneak peek. Taysom Hill's in Best Buys this week. Shocker. He's just way too good. You know? Doesn't Heineke owe you money? Yes. Love Stripes. What a great movie that is. So he's our cash game quarterback to start. I guarantee you that Gibson's going to win running back as well. How wild. It's wild how much more expensive Hill is on FD than DK. Yeah, it's weird. I think he's appropriately priced on FanDuel this week. I honestly do. I think he's like 7,700 over there. I think he's appropriately priced on FanDuel. You know, the site that for the last 2 years, I can't even say all year, the last 2 years has been, trying to think of a political way to say this, way more friendly in terms of pricing than DraftKings. There, 76% of the votes went for Taysom Hill. So like looking over on FanDuel real quick, it's very bright over on FanDuel. Can you please get us like a dark mode with one of these blues? That would be great. Please. Kip, please. Adam Kaplan, paging Adam. Can you please give me a little dark mode thing right here? Make the screen blue. Just help me out, please. Allen, Mahomes, Herbert, like all over 8,000, Dak, Brady, and then like there's Taysom Hill right below Lamar Jackson. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, seventh highest priced quarterback on FanDuel. I'm going to have to count because I honestly don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So he's like right in there. He's the 13th highest priced quarterback, right behind Teddy B. Way lower. Just force my browser into dark mode. I don't have consent from my browser to force it into dark mode. I'm not doing that. Chrome has not given me consent to do that, so I'm not going to do that. You want to get the running back poll? Okay, we got the running back poll up. I assume that this is going to be just as heavy. Eckler, Josh Jacobs, Gibson, Javonte Williams, and Uncle Lenny. This one's going to be interesting because when it comes to running backs, Eckler, we don't know exactly where he's going to settle. We know where he is, right? This is Eckler on a fully operational battle station for the Chargers, right? Fantastic usage. Exactly the usage we want, right? You want 12 to 17 carries and you want 5 to 10 targets a week from your running back for DraftKings specifically, PPR with bonuses. This is fantastic usage, right? It could dramatically spike this week with likely Keenan Allen and possibly Mike Williams out. So you might see, it might stay the exact same. There is a non-0% chance that his volume stays the same. There is also a chance that he spikes from like a floor of 5 targets, 4 or 5 targets, to like a floor of 7 or 8 targets with a ceiling around 12 or 14. Like that's in his locker. We've seen him do that before, and they may have to utilize him a lot more this week. Right? So and because of his price, and the value that exists lower, it may stay lower. And like Alvin Kamara in a situation where like he's the only guy now, like he should be back full participant Wednesday. If he's practicing on Wednesday, he's practicing on Thursday, he's going to practice on Friday. Ingram in COVID protocols. I don't think there's anybody else in that spot. So now all of a sudden you have a similar price pivot to Alvin Kamara, which I don't think he's as negatively correlated with Taysom Hill as some will want to make you believe, based on a very short sample size of a few starts last year, where some of the starts he didn't do amazing and some of the starts he did. But like looking over at NFL Savant, and granted, you have to factor in that NFL Savant takes a look at every game, and some of the games since at least week 9 he has missed. But Kamara had 45 targets in the games that he played. When he went out, he was at a 20% market share of targets and leading this team. In his absence, we've seen other guys kind of catch up and him fall behind on target totals. But he had 1 or 2 more targets than Marquez Callaway when they were all healthy. So I don't think that Kamara is as negatively correlated with Taysom Hill as people are going to be willing to suggest, or like, well, last year, Al, he didn't catch as many balls. It's like, okay, that was last year. It was a different team. They had other players around. They don't have anybody else in the passing game this year. And it's the freaking Jets. Like running the ball against them 35 times is, if Taysom Hill gets 12 carries and Kamara gets 16, 17 and catches 6 balls, and Taysom Hill runs in 1 and throws for 1 and passes for runs for another one, like they can both eat in the same lineup, as opposed to other times. Fournette, absolutely solid. Did I miss the poll? I missed the end of the poll. It's no longer up there. Leonard Fournette at 7,400 is solid, and also Gibson won. Yeah, shocker. Leonard Fournette leading the league in terms of running back catches. I said to Mike Clay on the 06010 podcast yesterday on ESPN, downloadable wherever you listen to podcasts. It's the one with Matthew Berry's face on it. You probably already subscribed. The CSS DFS podcast every Thursday. Also available on the NFL on ESPN YouTube feed if you wanted to see the video. I said to Mike when it came to the running back segment, because we go position by position, I said, Mike, if I somehow developed a time machine and I went back to August 1st and I ran up to you and said, Mike, Leonard Fournette's going to lead running backs in catches this year. All running backs. I got to go. And then I jumped back in my time machine and I left. I said, what would your reaction have been? He's like, I probably would have said, Daniel, we need to get a new person to be our third on the CSS DFS podcast. We're going to have to change the name of the podcast. We're going to have to do all these things. But here we are. So Fournette, also awesome. Apparently, the newest member of the Antonio Cromartie All-Stars, Josh Jacobs, should see an increased share of the snaps. Could also see an elevated target market share. I'm not expecting 9, but he might be in that 5 to 7, 5 to 8 range for the next 3-4 games with Kenyon Drake out. Very interesting, to say the least. And against Kansas City, who has given up tons of points. Gibson is going to be the cash game guy. We know that. Barkley at 6K. Same similar game log that we want. 12 to 17 carries, 5 to 10 targets. Same Eckler workload, right? I just think that he needs to break a big one to get there. Fortunately, that's in his wheelhouse. The interesting guy is Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams, who I absolutely love as a prospect. The kid can go. And we thought that he could go in the offseason. If you go back in the season-long folder, the sub-season long, in the Discord, I believe I said it had to be like May or June. I was like, this kid's ADP is way too low. And if it was, or was it before the draft? Was it even in April? I was like, this kid's ADP is way too low. And I love his prospect profile. And if he goes to the right team, it could spike. And you can get a value on him right now and lock that in when we were doing early drafts. I know who drafts in April and May. Me. Great pass catcher in college, still a great pass catcher in the NFL. Very tough to tackle in college. That is one stat that is extremely sticky. Tackle breaking, tackle evasion, missed tackles caused. Very sticky. David Montgomery, one of the best in college at it. David Montgomery is still one of the best at it in the NFL. Javonte Williams was one of the best at it in college last year, one of the best at it in the NFL this year. Unfortunately, subtracting the last couple games, this has been his workload when MG3 has been healthy. And MG3 hates us. I don't hate him, but it's clear that he hates us. He does not like us in fantasy. Because, like, Melvin, you're going to be a free agent. Like, unrestricted. You have everything to look forward to this offseason. This will probably be your last big contract. Take your time. Rest. Get your physicals right. Take a beat. Chill, B. And let us just have Javonte Williams for one more week, please. Can you just chill and let us have one more week of Javonte Williams? And then if you want to come back, you can. But, like, I don't know. If we have a mole in CAA or whatever agency he uses in that building in Century City here in California, can somebody, like, slip a note and remind him, hey, look, your client is an unrestricted free agent. Can you tell him to just chill out? Let us have Javonte. So, like, Javonte Williams, if Melvin Gordon is out, is as good a play to me or better than Antonio Gibson against Dallas. I think they are extremely similar if MG3 is out. If MG3 is in, all bets are off. Kind of a different. I'm not saying he's unplayable. I'm saying he's not the smash play that Gibson is in that spot. Yeah, go spend some time with your family. Do something, MG. Just come on, man. Cash game wide receiver poll is up in the chat if you guys want to click it. We have Josh Palmer, who is an if-then statement. We don't know about him yet. We also don't know about Guyton because we don't know about Allen and because we don't know about Williams. I will talk about that situation in just a bit. Godwin, Jalen Guyton, so both Chargers wideouts, Brandon Cooks and Renfrow. I think this is between two people. To me, right now. I think there's two people on that list that are a must right now for cash. We also have situations at running back, because I didn't even get to finish running back off, because like Elijah Mitchell didn't practice on Thursday, so monitor the Friday practice report. If he's out, then like Jeff Wilson steps into that very valuable lead back role. Like there's a lot of running backs that are out there. New chat setup on screen looks nice. Thank you. I'm trying to keep things updated, trying to keep them nice for you guys, you know. I know that a lot of people that watch this on YouTube watch on TV. Like they kind of Chromecast it, or they have a smart TV that has an app, the YouTube app, and they watch this on TV. So having the chat up, I believe, helps them. And we had the other, like the news studio, where the chat was over here, and now the chat's over there, and hopefully it doesn't throw them for too much of a loop. You Chromecast to the TV and chat using the phone? Okay. All the technology. So like for you, it's a very interactive experience to watch live on Twitch. Oh boy. We've never had this before. I hope this stays this way. I really do. It's not gonna, because somebody's gonna ruin it. But like, I hope that the vote stays this way. Any update on DEEBO? No. Not that I've seen yet, but like by the time things kick off, it might get there. Hit me, I ruined it. What is DEEBO's price right now? The question with DEEBO is, at 8K, with his usage since players returned, right? Since Ayuk left the doghouse and since Kittle came back, it was here. It was against the Rams. This was the DEEBO that is very DraftKings friendly. Targets. Okay, so chat did not let us do the thing. Chat did not let us do the thing. Our winner of the poll, I said there were two people that it had to be. It had to be Chris Godwin, who in the absence of Antonio Brown runs way more of his routes from the slot. When he runs more routes from the slot, his average depth of target comes down from 10.5 to 6.5. So he's not running as many deep routes, but those shorter routes translate more to catches than do the deeper routes. So he gets a catch on like 20% of his routes when he's got an ADOT that low, when Antonio Brown is off the field. And when Antonio Brown's on the field, he has an 11 or 12% catch percentage per route, but his ADOT's higher. He will still get targeted down the field, but Chris Godwin becomes more of a Deontay Johnson when Antonio Brown is out. He is the other guy that I said needed to be in there. Chat chose the fall guy at 6,100, Hunter Renfrow, who was the other guy that needed to be in that spot, who have 19 targets the last 2 weeks, 9 or more targets in 4 of the last 5, and 8 or more in 5 of the last 6. So does not carry with him usually the possibility for a 35 plus point DraftKings day, like some other players who have higher ADOT, some other players who have tackle breaking, better tackle breaking ability, run after the catch on a per catch basis ability. But Hunter Renfrow, a fine cash game play at his price. I think that most cash games are going to have him and then figure it out. So that what I wanted to see was they were tied for a lot. I wanted to just plug both of them in. Now, getting back to DEEBO here to finish that thought off. DEEBO getting 2, 4, 5 targets a game, but a bunch of carries makes him, he's James White. They've turned DEEBO Samuel into James White. Look how they massacred my beautiful boy. This is what he was. He was doing amazing things. When you targeted DEEBO 30% of the time, like, and still you could run some plays around the end zone, get him a couple of carries, and let him do some things. This was league winner DEEBO Samuel, weeks 1 through 9. And then Kittle got healthy, and they said, fine, Ayuk, we'll let you play. Right? You're not going to run wind sprints anymore. And now it's like, all right, let's just run DEEBO a ton. And he's scoring, which is great. But touchdowns are highly variant. And if he doesn't have 5 touchdowns over these last 3 games, subtract 12 from this, you get 18 points for 7.4K, which is fine, but it's not thrilling. You take 1 touchdown out of here, he has 10 points. Take 2 touchdowns out of here, he has 8.8 points. That's not great, Bob. And he's 8K now because he scored all these touchdowns. And if we're not going to see a return to my beautiful boy here, I don't know that I can merit paying 8K on the hopes for him scoring multiple touchdowns in every single game. If he plays. He didn't practice on Thursday. Like, that's my DEEBO rant. I had to go Godfather. I'm sorry. Yeah, hashtag sustainable. Stealing a Silva joke. RENFROW would get played a lot more if he didn't look like Osimo. Yes. It's true. What about the Tennessee running backs? They're in a good spot, but they split so much time that it's a dart throw. You're not going to get 20 touches. You can't projectably think that you are going to get 20 touches from either Hilliard, McNichols. You're not getting anything out of those guys. Hilliard had the big game, right? Hilliard had the big game that came on the backs of a 68-yard touchdown run. So that's a 12.8 point touchdown. Subtract 12.8. Not great. That doesn't get us there. And Foreman, not going to get utilized in the passing game. So he has to score multiple touchdowns on the ground for him to get there. It can happen. It's just really thin. There's just more floor to that play than I would want. Chuba Hubbard against Atlanta, I like that play. I do. And people aren't going to be on it. I do like that play. Julio can be an elite, or can he be an elite wide receiver 1 again against as the only viable target in Tennessee? I am of the thought that Julio Jones is still extremely good at football anytime he plays. CMC status? He's out. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Still out. McKissick ruled out. All right. I thought that was the route that was going. That just came across on Twitter. I thought that's the way that it was. I kind of figured that was what was going to happen. Now you're saying, wait, did it not happen? Questionable, not out. Okay. I think he's questionable on the other side. ETH 3950. Buy. No ranch dressing advice. This is not French dressing advice. Does CEH have any value? That's a good question. Let's look at this real quick. Let me go over here, bring this up. So 5-box running back situation with Kansas City at home and being favored. But, and there's a big but here. Edwards-Helaire essentially split snaps last game against Denver with Williams. I think one played 22 snaps and the other played 20 snaps. You don't love that. What is the dressing colloquialism? Not financial advice. So like Darrell Williams is going to eat an awful lot of the snaps. And so Edwards-Helaire could certainly get there. I still have faith in this Chiefs offense. I think he makes for, or would make for, a good contrarian play. But I also feel like the public is going to be on him more than they should be. I think he comes in at 10 to 15% on the weekend. And I think that there are some plays that are going to come in at 5 or less that will project just as well. And so I struggle to play the guy that I know is in a timeshare, regardless of the offense that he's in. When I kind of feel like there's other plays I can get to that may be better for tournaments. One being Byron Pringle at 3,200, like almost minimum, who is now out snapping and running way more routes than Cole Hardman. Excuse me, streamer. Excuse me. His name is pronounced Mecole Hardman. He's very meh. How do you feel about Mecole Hardman today, streamer? Meh. Meh. Mecole Hardman. Yeah, 100% Mecole. Let's throw the tight end poll up. He's got a case of the dropsies. He's got a case of the I'm very fast, but not much else. You know? That's what he's got a case of. On the other side of the I'm very fast, but not much else, comes one whose name I'm not allowed to say anymore because is redacted. Shirts available in the merch store. You can click on the link down below, right below the screen there on YouTube. It'll take you to the merch store. Go get yourself the brand new redacted shirt in Jaguars colors. Because I can't say They drafted and replaced Tyreek when he had legal problems. Yes, that's 100%. The Chiefs thought that they were going to be without Tyreek Hill for like 8 to 10 games that year. And so they drafted a guy who profiled similarly to Tyreek Hill, even though I made the argument that offseason. I remember making this argument that he is not Tyreek Hill. He's as fast as Tyreek Hill. He's the same size as Tyreek Hill. But, like, doesn't have the same skill set. Doesn't get off the line very well, especially against press coverage. Has no ability to catch contested balls and doesn't get separation. Which is weird that a guy that runs 4.2 can't separate. But here we are. All right. The optimal tight end poll is posted. The options are Jared Cook, who is fine, but how fine is still in the air. Austin Hooper, Gerald Everett, Rob Gronkowski, and George Kittle. He, the slate breaker from last week. There's, like I said, there's a lot of if-then. So, like, if RSJ is out, then the Bates Motel becomes a punt type play. You've got the kid on Houston who's a punt type play. There's a lot of sub 3K-ish guys that you could go with. If I talked about the all-day drop it all, we're going to do that later. We'll be on that at 11 a.m. And there'll be a video for that on the second channel, Al Smizzle Games. So we're going to record that and the top shots basically for NFL, for those of you wondering what that is. We're going to be opening up some moments later. I've loaded my Dapper account because I have beta access, because I have the cool cat set, and we're going to go through and we're going to hit it. Chat looking like they're consolidating around one play. I don't disagree with this play. I kind of do wonder how thin this play is, though. Like, I don't disagree with it, but maybe I'm projecting a little bit. But I do think that there's enough injuries here. There's a very weird stat about this player that I hit in Best Buys. So, sneak peek again at one of the players that's going to be available in Best Buys for you this week, if you want to read the article. Austin Hooper is chat's pick as the optimal cash game play this week. Austin Hooper gets targeted in like twice as many, almost 2.5x % of his routes run in games that they play at home versus games that the Browns play on the road. For some reason, they just plot and scheme to get Austin Hooper the ball when they play at home versus on the road. They have a lot of injuries in that position, in Baltimore has been very giving to opposing tight ends. And I am the first to tell you that DVP versus tight end is extremely noisy, because if you play a string of teams that don't feature their tight ends at all, you're going to appear very good against the tight end. Same thing goes for, like, I mentioned how Tom Brady has got that one next to him in quarterbacks because of defense versus position, because the Bills have looked very good at preventing quarterback scoring. Well, when you play the schedule that the Bills have played, it looks a lot easier to limit quarterbacks. They also just lost Tre'Davious White, which is going to make it tougher for them to guard the pass. And they also have cooked into that a game where the opposing quarterback threw the ball 3 times, which is going to hold down your fantasy points per game against quarterbacks. So sometimes you got to take DVP, and you can trust it in some situations. You have to parse it out in others. So Baltimore, even after that ridiculous start where they played like 3 of the best fantasy tight ends in the league who get really high volume consistently, they have still been a very giving team to opposing tight ends. They just allow a lot of targets and a lot of catches. And Austin Hooper's 3,400 in what seems to be a pretty solid matchup for him. So at 3,400, it's very difficult for him to hurt you. I think that paying up at tight end is going to be a very easy way to get different. Gronk, big touchdown upside. Kittle's Kittle, especially against Cincinnati. And Kelsey is sick, and people don't want to pay up to 7,400 for him. I kind of feel like they should open that up this week. Schultz is going to be low played this week. Andrews has always been a really solid play. Nobody's going to be on Foster Moreau after, he's the second roll yo this week, right? If everybody played him last week because he was free, and this week they've juiced him up to 4K, and now he's going to be like 1% in tournaments. If Waller's out, this is a great second roll yo spot for Foster Moreau at 4K. And then if Ricky Seals-Jones is out, the Bates Motel. And where's the other kid who's like 2,500? I wrote why can't I find this guy? There. Brevin Jordan. He's fine too. Because if you're paying minimum salary for a tight end, especially one against Seattle, define missing. We've talked about what do you win when you win, right? If you make this play and you win, what do you win? If you make this play and he bricks at 2,500, if he gets you, like, what are you expecting from him? If you get him for 2,500, you're expecting like 7 to 9 fantasy points, 6.5 to 9 fantasy points. If he gets you 4.5, that's not killing you. It's when you pay for a more expensive tight end, you know, you pay $6K for a tight end to get you 9. That hurts a lot more than a 2.5 guy getting you 5 or 6. It really does. So the allowance for salary to pay up somewhere else that's more predictable, especially at a position that typically does not have a lot of scoring at it, and you can win with a punt tight end on DraftKings, that puts you in that spot. So here's the skeleton of the cash game lineup that chat has come up with. Starting with Taysom Hill, GIBSON, RENFROW. They were very close on tying with Godwin here. Hooper, but a lot of cheap tight ends on that play. And I would almost move, again, if we don't know yet as we're recording this, but if both Mike Williams and Keenan Allen are out, I think Cook moves ahead of Hooper. But we don't have that information yet. It's a game of partial information. And if that happens, it is what it is, especially in cash. Easy to pay down in cash at tight end and pay up for wide receivers who will have a similar floor but a larger upside. Very few tight ends have a 30+ point upside. There's like 3 of them. You know, it's very difficult for them to get there, and they don't get there as often as a 6 to 8K wide receiver who have the same amount of targets but way more big play upside and similar amount of end zone targets as well. Besides Pringle and Josh Reynolds, what cheap wide receivers do we like? Good question. There's one more. LAQUON Treadwell has been playing like 85-90% of snaps. And again, the punts are ugly this week. This is a tough slate. I'm not lying to you. Like this is a very difficult slate. The pricing is difficult. We said it was going to get that way. At about week 10, DraftKings starts tightening the screws. And they make it harder for you to make lineups. But I like that. It's not so tight that you can't make lineups. You can still make lineups very easily, but you might have one somewhat uncomfortable spot where everything isn't a smash value. Right? Like an obvious, oh, this guy's clearly going to 5x his size. Like LAQUON Treadwell's got 10 targets incoming. This is easy value. Like, he's fine. And the other thing is, it makes it so we don't have to play so I like that too. Zay Jones, yeah, he's been running a lot of routes. Dropped the ball off his back shoulder. So, like, they threw a ball, like, Carr threw a ball that was he wanted to catch over here, and it kind of moved in the last second. It hit off of his right shoulder. He couldn't get his hands over to get it. So, like, Zay Jones has actually been running a lot of routes because, you know, Edwards can't get open. So, like, there's value. It's just ugly value. Tough week for cash. I think it's easier for cash than you think. I think it's a very tough week for tournaments. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's an easy week for tournaments. Like, because anytime that the pricing gets tighter, this is what I think gets lost. When the pricing gets really, really tight, people tend to consolidate around the best plays. You know, like the percentage in tournaments consolidates around the best plays more, which makes giving up a couple points in projection a lot easier. Because you're getting such a difference, such a gap between the high owned and the low end guys who have a very similar ceiling, albeit 1 or 2 projected points apart. When pricing is super loose and there's a ton of value, think last week at running back. There were like 12 running backs that were 15% or over and none above 30. Like, it was just like, all right, like, we're all playing everybody, I guess. And there's no way to differentiate, or no easy way to differentiate in tournaments. I don't mind it if a guy's, you know, if one guy's going to be 35 and another 2 are going to be 25 plus, and then we have multiple bites at the apple sub 15, much easier. But like in terms of filling out a cash game lineup, you could do that and then probably get to like, probably right now Barkley, but like if we get the news on Eli, then all of a sudden you could pivot to like Jeff Wilson at 4,400. If MG3 is out, then Barkley becomes Javonte Williams. You're probably going to play him. You're probably going to have to get some exposure to that Bucks Bills game. So like Godwin, and or you're going to have like one punt in here, right? You're just going to have one punt in here. So like Godwin, and then probably or Beasley, who I like a lot in this matchup, as the Buccaneers play like the third most zone in the league. And we know how Beasley does when he plays against teams that play zone. You want to punt off or whatever. And then you have 6,100 for the last spot. Like I said, it fits Barkley in that. Like cash, it's not hard to get a high floor in cash. It just isn't this week. Does New England play? Never try to guess what New England does. New England changes their game plan every week. They make a game plan for the opponent that they're playing. That's just what they do. Anyway, that's going to do it for the show, guys. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Make sure that you head over to the Discord if you have not already. And I will catch up to you guys later. Bye.
He's a legend.